It's hard to believe Gary Payton would do some trash talking.
Exactly.
That never happened. Opening tip controlled by Gonzaga. Zags come in 15-6, 6-2 in the WCC. And Oregon State has won 4 out of 5. They're 16-6. And they're 6-3 in the West Coast Conference. Shot clock inside 10. Here is Ryan Nimhart. Ben Gregg lines it up, missing a 3. And the rebound batted around, and the Beavs, wearing the black, control the rebound.
That's a welcome sight for Oregon State that Gregg missed that 3. Made his previous 15, including a perfect 10 of 10 from the field to tie a career-high 24 points at Portland the other night.
Starting 5 for Wayne Tinkle. Parsifalo back in the starting lineup for Oregon State. And DeMarco Minor turns it over. A run out for Gonzaga. Up the floor. Into the bucket. Graham Ike follows up the miss from Emmanuel Inocenti.
Gonzaga puts so much pressure on you getting the ball down the floor, and Nemhart will find you if you run.
And that was the big concern for Wayne Tinkle going into this game, was the transition. Can they stop Gonzaga when they get out and run? Nate Kings, 7 to shoot for Oregon State. On the drive down the lane, off balance in the roll for Latoris Lelavicius for Oregon State.
Welcome sign for Wayne Tinkle. Only had 2 points in the first meeting. They were 2 big ones, though, late in the game.
Speaking of 2 points, 2 more for Graham Ike.
When he runs the floor like that, gets a deep seal, he's almost impossible to stop. Creates so much space. He's a big target, and then he's a terrific finisher down low.
Nate Kings inside, and the jump hook by Parsifalo for Oregon State, the transfer from Southern Utah.
Those two had a heck of a matchup in Corvallis a week and a half ago. Fala's got tremendous footwork, soft touch around the rim.
Here's Nolan Hickman on the baseline, tries the reverse. Parsifalo clears for Oregon State.
This is where Oregon State's been a little different than in years past. With Minor, they will push the tempo when they get a chance.
Deflected, Nolan Hickman the steal. Hickman to the bucket, and it's 6-4 Gonzaga.
He has played really well in West Coast Conference play. Not known for his defense, that time opportunistic in the passing lane, leads to an easy layup.
Second team All-WCC last year for Hickman. He's been in double figures in each of Gonzaga's last 4 games. Michael Ratai goes baseline, and a strong move by Ratai.
He continues to play really well. West Coast Conference play, averaging nearly 22 a game, had 29 in the first meeting.
Graham Ike, and 1. That was a man's move by Ike.
That time they brought a double. He simply spun away from the double team, finished through contact at the line for a 3-point play. We see the double come just a little bit late. Ratai gets him across the arm.
First on Michael Ratai. Ike, an 80% foul shooter, who came off the bench in Gonzaga's last game down at Portland, where they obliterated the Pilots. But back in the starting lineup tonight for Mark Few.
As Gonzaga does a lot of times after a made free throw, will show 3/4 court pressure.
Ike was 7 of Gonzaga's 9. The Zags, there's Ike running the floor. Ike with the left hand, and they can't stop Graham Ike right now.
When you're a big like Graham Ike and you have a point guard in Ryan Nemhart who's such a willing passer, you create your own opportunities by running down the floor just as Ike did.
Step back, and the deep 2 falls off from DeMarco Minor. Cleared by Gonzaga, they push. Bobbled, controlling it, Graham Ike already with 11.
Exactly the start that Wayne Tinkle wanted to stay away from. Get this crowd involved. It becomes one of the most difficult places in all of college basketball to be successful in if you're on the road.
7-0 run for the Zags. Nate King's three.
That quieted the crowd. Kings, 20 points in the first matchup. He has become a lethal weapon from beyond the three-point line.
From the outside, Graham Ike. And the rebound cleared by DeMarco Minor for Oregon State. Down the lane. Floater spins out for Latoris Lelovicius. And here comes Gonzaga countering. Off balance, the floater, Ryan Nembhard.
How he split that double in transition. The low pickup, swinging through to the floater finish.
Zags are 7 for 11 from the field. Nate Kings tries to turn the corner. Here's Michael Ratai way out there. Steps into a three. In and out, and the rebound, Graham Ike rips it down for the Bulldogs. What a pass, and a slam, Graham Ike.
Very few point guards, regardless of levels, can make that pass that Ryan Nembhard just made. Small window.
Already 13 of Gonzaga's 17 for Graham Ike. And the foul out top on Emmanuel Inocenti for Gonzaga. But what a start.
6 of 7 from the field. As soon as he missed that one, it's time to bring him out.
Matthew Marsh, the grad transfer from Wake Forest, checks in for Wayne Tinkle at Oregon State. Nate Kings on the drive, throws up a wild shot, but draws contact. And a couple of free throws for Kings, the junior from Salem, Oregon.
Yeah, he's been really good as of late. 15 or more points, 7 of his last 10, including 23 different times. And in the last 5 games, nearly 60% from the field.
One of the top three-point shooters in the country, Kings. And one more shot as Wayne Tinkle looks on, and deep roots here to Spokane for Wayne Tinkle.
Went to Ferris High School, just up on the South Hill. Before he had a phenomenal college playing career in Montana, he's become a really underrated coach in my eyes across the West Coast.
Baseline, Ryan Nembhard with the jumper. Eight-point lead for Gonzaga inside 13 minutes to go. Second meeting for Oregon State and Gonzaga in 12 days. Beavers won in Corvallis in overtime. Back on January 16th. Marco Minor, 5 on the shot clock. Minor from the top of the key, just beat the shot clock, and the rebound tipped free by Nembhard, and skying for it is Caleb Battle for Gonzaga. And the three is blocked as Dusty Stromer had it blocked by the lunging Nate Kings. Now foul and one as Gonzaga fouls Michael Ratai down low.
Looks a lot like one of the big buckets Ratai made down the stretch against Ben Gregg down in Corvallis, but such a difficult cover at 6'9", 220, can put the ball on the deck, strong enough to give you that initial bump, create contact enough where the official calls it a foul, finish through it at the line for 3.
And Ratai nails the free throw, and 5 points for the junior from Germany, and pulls Oregon State to within 5. Foul was on Michael Ajayi. Here's Caleb Battle looking to get on track after struggling the last couple of ball games, and that will get him to the free throw line.
Yeah, good to see him attack if you're a Gonzaga fan. Scoreless the last 2 games, Was not in the starting lineup against the University of Portland over the weekend in about 17 minutes of play. Didn't even take a shot. Looked to facilitate a lot more than usual. If Gonzaga is going to fulfill the potential and expectations that they have, he has got to be aggressive to score, but temper it with a little bit more playmaking ability than maybe he has at times.
He averages over 12 points per game. And at one point, as you look at the offensive numbers for Gonzaga this year, second in scoring, they lead the country in assists, top 5 in both field goal and free throw percentage for Gonzaga. But Battle hits both free throws, and at one point this year, he made 50 straight free throws.
It's unbelievable. And that's one thing, Gonzaga, you're never going to worry about their offense. They've been top 5 in efficiency the last 5 years or so in Ken Palm analytics. It's the defensive end of the floor over the last 3-4 weeks that has let them down at times. They have addressed that after the back-to-back losses to the Beavers as well as Santa Clara.
Michael Ratai to the bucket, somehow squeezed through and laid it in for Oregon State.
Take your right, take your left, finish with either hand. Oregon State now 1-3-1 zone. Gonzaga, you want to find the middle right there where Jayi finds an opportunity.
And the elbow squares up for the jumper. Transfer from Pepperdine, the native of the Northwest, and Gonzaga goes back up 7. Josiah Lake the second, the sophomore from Tualatin in the game, former walk-on at Oregon State, the son of a former Beaver. Marco Minor launches. And the rebound grabbed by Brayton Huff for Gonzaga. Stepping into a 3. And Michael Ajayi missed everything, and it's out of bounds to Oregon State. 23-16.
A lot more quad 1, quad 2 opportunities than this league has generally had over the last few years. So as long as you don't falter to any teams in the bottom third of the league, you got a chance to really make your mark for the selection committee to really think that you're worthy.
The Zags and the Gales, they're the usual suspects in this conference, but the additions of Oregon State and Washington State for the next couple of years as affiliate members coming in, they have certainly elevated the play of the WCC.
Without a doubt. Mark Few said before the game at Oregon State he loves the additions because of new places to play and environments with the energy.
And the potential also of just a bus ride for a road game against Washington State doesn't hurt Gonzaga either. And DeMarco Minor beat the shot clock with a 3. The footwork down low, Brayton Huff.
Well, he is scouted as a right shoulder finisher. That time, Marsh, good initial defense, but Brayton Huff, terrific footwork and balance to spin back over the other direction.
Oregon State 7 of 13 for the field, but now a turnover for an offensive foul, the second on Matthew Marsh for an illegal screen.
Those are the ones that you can't allow to happen to keep it close midway through this first half. Oregon State has been executing fairly well. You're trying to get Ratai open on a flare screen. Jayi chases him off the initial look, but Marsh has got to stay steady.
Ryan Nembhard getting a breather, so Nolan Hickman runs the point.
Oregon State back in a zone. Important to communicate, match up with your responsibilities through who's in your area.
The runner off the window, and Caleb Battle puts the Zags up 8 again, matches their largest lead.
Again, that's why he's so important to this basketball team, because he can create his own shot. Nembhard creates for others, but Battle can create for himself.
Great footwork down low. The scoop, though, wouldn't go for Parsafala. And here comes Battle for Gonzaga. Huff. And a good look, got the offensive rebound, and Brayton Huff follows it up. Timeout Oregon State, and the Zags are up 10. They just come at you in waves. Throws early, maybe that gets him going because he's certainly a weapon for Mark Few, and coming off the bench now, it's an adjustment for Caleb Battle.
Yeah, every coach with the amount of talent that this Gonzaga roster has to figure out which guy is best in what role. And Battle's been tremendous as a starter. They may have found something with him as a sixth man, as a spark plug. If you can accept that role and excel in it, that might be something that really changes the look for opponents.
DeMarco Minor, three. Second three for DeMarco Minor.
Terrific job from Ratai, just to pull the defense just a little bit more to him, create more space for Minor on the catch and shoot.
And like Gonzaga, Oregon State is a very skilled and efficient offensive team. We showed you Gonzaga's numbers a few minutes ago. The Beavers' numbers are tremendous on the offensive end as well. Braden Huff the miss. Michael Ajayi on a putback will go to the line for an and one.
Ajayi, a season ago at Pepperdine, led the conference in scoring for the last couple years. This team, this group that Wayne Tinkle has brought in, have bought into his vision of how he wants to play. They've been more selfless than teams over the last few years. You've got another good point guard with experience in Minor, and then the growth of Ratai has been spectacular to watch.
And a lane violation called on Oregon State. Another free throw attempt for Michael Ajayi. You never see that called. I'm not saying it was the wrong call, but you rarely see it. And Ajayi can't cash in on the extra opportunity. And it was the right call. He fell into the lane. So what's a lane violation?
Yeah, but you know what they say on the playground, ball don't lie.
Isaiah C., native of France. DeMarco Minor missing from the corner. There's Michael Ajayi skying for the rebound. The Zags pushing. In his second unit, having a lot of success from Mark Few. And the rebound grabbed by Josiah Lake, the second for the Beavers.
You know, in all fairness to Ajayi, came in with such high expectations because of his numbers. But he had a difficult role to fill because Anton Watson, who was here for 5 years, did so many of the little things that went unnoticed.
Offensive foul on Michael Ratai. And the second on Ratai in a collision, driving the lane.
I don't know about that one. I think it was, if anything, it was Logie kind of stepping into Ajayi, but that's a tough one.
I'm with you on that. I think if there was a foul,
yes,
it was on Maxime Logie and not Ratai. And the frustrating thing for Oregon State is you take the Beavers' best player off the floor.
And that's one thing that I think a lot of officials do get right, of not giving that prime player that second foul early.
A three for Caleb Battle and the largest lead for Gonzaga. And the first three for the Zags tonight. And the answer from Isaiah C. for Oregon State.
You've got to locate him, though. Coming.
From Mike Monaco and King McClure in Provo, we're at the Kennel in Spokane with Dan Dickow and our ESPN crew. Roxy Bernstein with you for some late night West Coast Conference action. One more shot for Caleb Battle at the line as Gonzaga, who lost to Oregon State 12 days ago in Corvallis, looking to return the favor here on their home floor as Battle goes 2 for 3 from the line. But Graham Ike, who's off to a torrid start in this one with the offensive rebound, and Battle, 3. He's got 11 off the bench after being scoreless in each of the last 2 games. And Gonzaga has matched their largest lead.
Well, I made the comment earlier, he can score in bunches. He has done just that. But credit Graham Ike on the offensive free throw line, not being denied, coming up with an extra possession.
Ike and Battle have combined for 29 of Gonzaga, or 25 of Gonzaga's 39. 3-2 strong from Isaiah C. The offensive rebound, Maxim Logie for the Beavers. DeMarco Minor leads Oregon State with 8. And their top scorer on the season, Michael Ratai, has 7, but he's sitting on the bench with 2 fouls. Nate Kings Shot clock rolling down on Oregon State. King's missing on the baseline, and Maxim Logie goes over the back, and a foul called against Oregon State.
The type of defensive energy Gonzaga showed on that possession is something that had been missing at times in the loss at Oregon State, as well as the home loss, which is extremely rare. Roxy, you know, you've called a number of games here. They don't get beat on this home floor. They didn't have that defensive energy against Santa Clara.
Tonight they've been in attack mode, Dan. They have gone inside and tried to power their way through Oregon State.
Well, so many people think Gonzaga plays fast because of their guards, and it's true to a certain extent, but their bigs are taught so well to run to the front of the rim. They put defensive teams in such a bind of stopping that initial post up, that post seal, that then if they don't get something there, you then have drive kick opportunities to find shooters.
Caleb Battle already 6 for 7 from the line, and he has the last 10 points for Gonzaga. And they have their largest lead. Ball stripped from C. The Zag looked to attack, but taken right back by DeMarco Minor.
Terrific heads-up play from Minor.
And there's a foul on Gonzaga, and it's a push on Graham Ike. The first, the junior from Aurora, Colorado, transfer from Wyoming.
I would imagine Wayne Tinkle would get Parsifala back in the game at some point here in the first half. He was real productive in that first matchup. He also was able to foul Graham Ike out. Puts a lot of foul pressure on you as he's such a scoring threat down low.
And a tie-up, and the arrow stays with Oregon State. 9 on the shot clock. So Gonzaga 15-6, and after losing 2 straight games, they lost in Corvallis to the Beavers, then surprising home loss to Santa Clara, turned around, and they ran Portland out of their gym last weekend.
That first 12, 13 minutes or so, Portland hung in there, but then you had a point guard dynamo and Ryan Nembhard absolutely leading the way. 14 assists, just directing traffic.
Some indecision for Nolan Hickman and a turnover by Gonzaga. But in that game at Portland, the Zags winning 105-62. Ben Gregg was perfect from the floor. He was 10 for 10, hit 4 threes, so 24 points. Michael Ajayi had 20. The Zags shot 63%. The Child Center against the Pilots. They have 31 assists against Portland, the second most in a game in Gonzaga history. And a Gonzaga team that leads the country in assists has an errant pass run down. Caleb Battle, and he gets knocked down by DeMarco Minor, and Battle will get a couple of free throws for Gonzaga. Second foul on Minor, but Gonzaga.
Jack and Dan's a block or so away. They remember that game because Gary Payton, known for his trash talking, was on fire, not just the court, but with his mouth that night.
Boy, Caleb Battle, he has come out with some aggression tonight. That is a welcome sight for Mark Few.
Yeah, scoreless the last 2 games. Did not start in the game at Portland Saturday. Message taken, that's for sure.
And a foul on Gonzaga. And they're getting it on Ryan Nembhard, his first. With a 3:49 left in the half. Still not in the bonus, Oregon State. And we should mention, Oregon State had issues getting to the kennel tonight. They were staying at their downtown hotel here in Spokane, and their bus broke down. Some quick thinking by Ryan Lawrence, the director of basketball operations, ordered a bunch of Ubers, and they Ubered to the kennel. And I made sure that they all got 5-star ratings for the Uber drivers tonight.
And hopefully a nice tip as well.
And it worked out seamlessly to get here. Wayne Tinkle and the Beavers having to adjust on the fly. And This is familiar territory for Wayne Tinkle. He went to high school in the area, has so much love and affinity for the Spokane area. His daughter played here. Ellie played at Gonzaga. So there's a deep connection for the Tinkle family here to Spokane. The flyby. And the three, DeMarco Minor crashing the offensive glass, but it's ripped away by Braden Huff for the Zags. Caleb Battle. Boy, is he feeling it tonight. 19 first half points. Off the bench, and the lead is 19. Boy, what a performance so far by Caleb Battle. And the crazy thing is, Dan, he's only credited with 4 field goal attempts, and he's got 19 points.
Oh, he's been ultra efficient. He's got a green light, and when he gets going, he will not pass down an open shot. Credit Ryan Nemhard, who's such a willing passer, but Battle, after Gonzaga missed their first 3, he's come in, knocked down all 3 of his from beyond the arc. But I think what he's done best is put foul pressure on Oregon State's perimeter.
Battle has 15 points in the last 3:45.
We were talking at the break. Vinnie Johnson, his nickname was the microwave. He is definitely heated up like a microwave these last few minutes, has Khalif Battle.
The miss inside after the air ball from Lake by Matthew Marsh. And the Zags firmly in control here late in the first half, but forced Wayne Tinkle to take 2 timeouts. Nolan Hickman weaves his way in. And that hits the underside of the stanchion of the back basket. Will stay at this end of Gonzaga ball. Here with 2:27 left in the half. And it's funny when we were talking to Wayne Tinkle about some of those days growing up here in Spokane, some of the pickup games and stuff that they used to do that nobody does anymore. Breaking into gyms, then letting everybody, okay, we're meeting here at 8 a.m. to run over here, we're going to sneak in.
He mentioned a phone tree. Guy on the bottom calls the guy above. You call a phone tree nowadays, kids are looking like you. What are you talking about?
14-0 run for Gonzaga. First points for Ben Gregg tonight. It has gotten away from Oregon State here late in the first half. Here's Parsifala on the block, goes middle, Graham Ike denies. And on the reload of 3 for Latoris Lelovicius, off the block from Ike. 5 threes for Oregon State. Now we're going the other way. It belongs to the Beavers. But the production for Oregon State this year, with how efficient that they've been. Oregon State 10th in the country in field goal percentage, 24th in three-point percentage, 9th in free throw percentage. They have shot 50% or better in 10 of their 22 games, and 3 times better than 60% from the floor.
Well, it just goes to show how connected they've been this year on the offensive end of the floor. Wayne Tinkle has put together a group that enjoys playing for each other as opposed to trying to get theirs.
And for Wayne Tinkle, look, he went to the Elite 8 back in 2021. It was a rough few years. The personnel just didn't seem to fit. The personalities didn't mesh for Oregon State, but it seems like he's recreated that formula and has a group that's his kind of guys now.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And a lot of programs went through a similar thing because during the COVID stretch, you were recruiting through Zoom conversations. You didn't get a chance to get players on campus, see how they meshed with the current roster, see if that player enjoyed being on your campus. With the fact that they've been able to have recruits on campus, they've been very selective in the transfer portal as well as internationally. He's got a group that he really likes, and they've played extremely well for him this year.
Both free throws nailed by Ryan Nimhard. He's got 6 points, 5 assists here in the first half. The Zags lead is 20 with a minute to go until halftime. The nation's leading assister Nimhard will get a breather here. unfortunately for the Beavers, has been sitting for a while after getting his second foul. 10 to shoot. Nate Kings. The pull-up. Graham Ike the rebound. About a 5-second differential between the shot and half clock for Gonzaga.
You're Oregon State on this last possession. You want to make sure you finish out with a defensive rebound, not giving up a second. Steph Curry and the Warriors, they seem to be on prime time nearly every night, and there's a reason why. He has changed the way this game of basketball has been played with the emphasis on skill and three-point shooting.
Mark Few gets Ryan Nembhard back on the floor. Here comes Ike looking to set a screen. Pump fake, now moving in. Shot short from Ben Gregg. One last crack at it for Oregon State from just beyond half court. And Josiah Lake off the mark. And a very impressive first 20 minutes from Gonzaga on both ends of the rare Tuesday night game here at Gonzaga. 25-point lead for Gonzaga over Oregon State early in the second half. Thursday night features two top-tier women's college basketball matchups, starting with number 13 Oklahoma and number 7 LSU, who just fell from the ranks of the unbeaten. That's on ESPN2 at 7 Eastern. Then 8:30 on ESPN, Iowa State and number 11 Kansas State. SEC and the Big 12, both games streaming on the ESPN app. Such a quick turnaround from when these teams played 12 days ago. And look, you had quick turnarounds, especially when you're in the NBA, Dan, of getting a second look at a team quickly. For Gonzaga to lose like they did in overtime, the tough loss in Corvallis 12 days ago, how fresh does that stay with you knowing you're getting another crack at that same team?
Well, I think the turnarounds for everybody playing Oregon State, Washington State are much different because they're new to the league as opposed to all the other teams in the West Coast Conference. You've played them year in and year out. Staffs know their tendencies and what they like to try to do, as Kings knocks down a well-needed three for the Beavers.
Second three for Nate Kings. And then Saturday, of course, the big matchup for Gonzaga, heading down to St. Mary's to take on Randy Bennett-Scales as the alley-oop to Graham Ike.
Get to the soft spot of that zone with Ryan Nembhard having the ball, and good things will happen.
Michael Rataj gets in the paint, and Ben Gregg the rebound for the Zags. They push. Three. Nolan Hickman from the corner. 60-33, and now a steal for Gonzaga. Nembhard in transition. Lining it up, and it's off the mark from Emmanuel Inocenti, who recently was inserted into the starting lineup by Mark Few.
First chance to really play extended minutes these last two games. He is a terrific defender, transfer from Tarleton State. All defensive whack as a freshman. He's only really had spot minutes in defensive situations this year.
Oregon State, after making 10 of their first 18 from the field, have made only 2 of their last 14 as they go inside and the lay-in for Latoris Lulavicius. Seven for the sophomore from Lithuania. Hickman. And the rebound, saving it, is DeMarco Minor, and firing it. Problem was he fired it off one of his teammates and it went out of bounds.
A lot of times you're taught not to save the ball under your own basket unless you have a clear recovery to a teammate. Oregon State may have dodged a bullet there anyways. It could have fell in Ike's hands.
Oregon State having 1-2 in a row coming in and coming off an impressive win. This past Saturday night at Gill Coliseum, they handled Santa Clara 83-69. Michael Rataj had a career high 30 in that game.
We haven't seen the full package that Michael Ratai has on the offensive end of the floor tonight. He's a terrific player, but Graham Ike has showed you the entire package in what he can do when he gets that ball in the low block. Continuing where he picked off, that first 6 minutes was impressive from him.
He had 13 of the Zags' first 17 points as a foul on Gonzaga.
Ike just has such patience in the low block. You're not going to double, that's fine. You kind of double, I'll dribble out of it. Oh, you go away? All right, I'm back to single coverage. So many players will see a double come and they'll quickly get rid of it. A lot of times you got to recognize and see defense when the double leaves. Many times your own defender relaxes a little bit.
Michael Ratai, the double clutch three. It's way off. And the rebound tip free into Zags' control. They have made life difficult for Michael Ratai tonight. Out of bounds to Gonzaga, but a 27. Well, the reception was rude from Gonzaga tonight toward Oregon State. And the Zags from the outset, they've been locked in.
Well, they had a bad taste in their mouth after their experience in Corvallis at Gale Coliseum, followed up by the loss to Santa Clara here at home. They have looked really good this evening.
Graham Ike now with 20.
You know, part of the thing about that game down in Corvallis, at times Battle and Ike, I didn't think kept their composure in check. They have played with a ton of energy and composure this evening.
Michael Ratai on the baseline, now with 9, the leading scorer on the year for the Beavers. But you blink and here comes Gonzaga. Hickman rims it out of the baseline. And out of the pack to Marco Minor for Oregon State. Here's Michael Ratai. Step back. The high archer off the window.
High archer is right. They have not made life difficult for Ratai at all, but sometimes a good offensive player is going to beat a good defender regardless.
Caleb Battle takes the ball with him out of bounds. A turnover by Gonzaga. Just over 14:20 to go, but I'm guessing this was not the intent for Ratai.
I wouldn't think it was the initial intent, but he's not going to tell us any differently. As a good offensive player, you just quietly, emotionlessly get back on defense like that was your intent the whole time.
Is that your humble brag right there?
I guess.
Michael Ratai fouled, but go to the line for Oregon State. I don't mean to brag, but if somebody's number was hanging in the rafters here at the kennel. Second foul on Graham Ike and 2 shots for Michael Ratai. There it is. There's a number of Dan Dickau, retired here at Gonzaga. Amongst the legends, Adam Morrison, Kelly Olynyk up there. Recently, Domantas Sabonis had his number put up there.
During that last home loss to Santa Clara, Domantas was honored. We get a look at just how good Michael Ratai has been. If Oregon State's going to climb back in, he's going to need to be a big part of it with his scoring punch.
Of course, John Stockton's number up there. You mentioned those pickup games that Wayne Tinkle used to play at back in the day. John Stockton played in those games here too.
Yeah.
Wayne Tinkle.
Well, the interesting thing about those numbers being up there is John's is truly the only one. If you ask for the number 12, you're not going to get it.
Michael Ajayi 3. Would you have a problem if somebody wanted to wear number 21?
Well, Rob Sacre had it for a time. Rui Hachimura had it as well during his time in Spokane. They've just had so many good players over the years. It's hard to truly retire a number these days.
Well, I remember the first time I saw Rui play, we were sitting in the old kennel, and I was up here for a football game in Wazoo. And I came to watch Gonzaga work out in a practice. And this was Rui as a freshman. Nobody really knew about him. And I'm watching him going up and down. I'm like, who's that guy?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting with one of the administrators at Gonzaga, and they were like, who? Which guy? He goes, that guy? Oh, no, that's DeMontis. Sabonis was here at the time. No, not Sabonis. I know Sabonis. Who's that guy? Oh, Rui? They go, yeah. I go, who the heck is Rui?
Yeah.
Well, we quickly found out who Rui was.
He had the look of a future pro the second he stepped on campus. As a freshman, he did not play because, well, I can't say he did not play. He did not play much because he had to spend so much time in his English as a second language classes that he missed out on a lot of practice time. But he made his mark known for sure in Spokane.
And that whole first year was a transition for him. It was the next year that he really accelerated his game. And back in the day, he was here for 3 years, which a lot of kids do back then.
Yeah, and you have to give Coach Few and staff a lot of credit for kind of sharing a vision of how his career could kind of plan out and come to fruition, and give him the credit for putting in the work. He's crafted his career into being a heck of an NBA player.
Inside 13 minutes now. Michael Ajayi, 3.
I mean, look out. If Michael Ajayi starts shooting that 3 ball with any type of consistency, it just adds another weapon.
How do you stop this team?
Oh, when he starts doing that, I mean, you really don't have a lot of answers because you would dare him to shoot and take your chances.
Five to shoot for DeMarco Minor. Attacks, lays it in.
Wow. Nice finish by Minor. He's quietly putting together a solid night. Second Beaver in double figures with 10. More of a scoring point guard when he was at Southern Illinois Edwardsville, but he's done a really nice job running the offense for Wayne Tinkle.
Johan Munch, freshman from Denmark, called for the foul.
Ajayi starts getting going from the three-point line. Watch out, but credit Ryan Nembhard. Compresses the defense with dribble penetration on the first, and then the second is just the simple read and react play. I'm not open, swing it to the next guy.
It's been an interesting transition for him. After leading the WCC in scoring, which you talked about earlier, last year Michael Ajayi shot 47% from 3. Coming into tonight, he's 20% this year. Now it rattles out for Josiah Lake.
Well, there's a learning curve for players when you go from one program to the next.
Wave it off for basket interference, but effect. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by Progressive Insurance. Save when you bundle auto, home, or motorcycle insurance. Decent point guards have come through this program, Dan.
There has been some good ones. You know, Ryan Nembhard set the single season assist record a season ago. He's on track to absolutely smash that. You see some of these names. Blake Stepp gets missed so many times. He was my backcourt running mate for 2 years. He was unbelievable. Knee injuries kind of hampered his pro career. Matt Santangelo, that first Elite 8 run. Josh Perkins, he's the all-time assist leader just by total number of assists. But Ryan Nembhard's carrying the torch.
And Nembhard now averaging just under 10 assists a game, leading the country, and he has 9 assists tonight.
9 double-doubles on the season. And you look at the last game, you know, so many players kind of get in their head when they are having a good game, maybe as a scorer, they need to go get rebounds, or, you know, they're an assist guy, they need to score. Nembhard didn't change his approach that last game. They took him out as a scorer. He just kept finding guys. 2 points to go alongside those 14 assists.
Braden Huff hits both. Nembhard has had 10 or more assists in 13 of their 21 games this year. And in 5 of the last 6, he's on the verge of getting double-digit assists again. the West Coast Conference in assists last year. Isaiah C. missing from deep, and they're getting Nembhard for a foul. Second on Ryan Nembhard. And team foul number 4 on Gonzaga here in the second half. A big showdown they have with St. Mary's coming up down in Moraga on Saturday night. The Beavers are playing their 3rd game in 6 days. They're going to be off for 9 days after this one before they host Washington State.
Interesting scheduling quirk with OSU and Washington State not playing each other twice in WCC play as affiliate members. I would have figured they would have kept that as a home and home.
Entry pass. The tip rattles out for Ajayi, and it's pulled down by Oregon State.
Both Huff and Ajayi would like to have those opportunities back.
Point blank looks. Nate Kings spins his way to the basket, and one for Nate Kings.
I'll tell you what, I really like Kings. Lefty that carries the tradition of Oregon State having a lot of good left-handed perimeter players. Trace Tinkle, Adam Maston from the mid-2000s come to mind, but Kings finishes through contact there.
That was on Dusty Stromer. Kings now in double digits. He's got 11 after hitting the free throw. Kings, who averages over 12 points a game, took a redshirt torn ACL last year. This move and splitting the double team. How about that for Braden Huff to get free throws?
It's just such a luxury Gonzaga has. Ike, one of the front runners for WCC Player of the Year on the low block, subs out, and guess who comes in? A guy who shoots it at the same percentage but scores it at an even higher rate in Braden Huff.
The footwork by Huff is just so impressive.
He's got the up and unders, the step throughs. He can change the release point on his jump hook to elude the defender.
Leading scores on the season for Gonzaga with 6, averaging in double digits for Gonzaga. Huff now with 8 tonight, and I see so much Kevin McHale with his footwork, and you younger kids out there, Google it.
He doesn't quite have the length of Kevin McHale, but the touch for sure.
And the footwork. Nolan Hickman, second 3 for Hickman tonight. Zags by 31. It is snowballing on the Beavers. And miscommunication there and a turnover on Oregon State.
Three-quarter court pressure. Gonzaga knocks the ball free. Ajayi finding Hickman in front of his bench. They all seem to like it. They turn defense to offense as quickly as anybody in the country.
You wonder if the bus breaking down for Oregon State was a harbinger of things to come tonight for Wayne Tinkle and the Beavers, as it is just raining on Oregon State now. Hickman again. Michael Ratai fouled by Michael Ajayi of Gonzaga. The only other time I could remember something like that happening, well, last year Oregon was playing at UCLA And they were only staying about a mile away from Pauley Pavilion there in Westwood. But the Oregon bus wasn't allowed to move because President Biden had a motorcade coming through, and everything was shut down. And they thought they were going to time it right.
Yeah.
But Oregon, they didn't miss their window. It's just President Biden's motorcade or the Secret Service shut it down earlier than expected. So they were parked in the bus in front of their hotel. They weren't even allowed to leave their hotel for about 20 minutes.
Wow.
Then they were able to board the bus, but then couldn't move. And they had to delay the start of the game because Oregon couldn't get to Pauley Pavilion. As a slam by Maxim Loki for Oregon State. And I even said something to Wayne Tinkle about that pregame.
But the thing about that one in Westwood, you could have at least walked. It's about 15 degrees in Spokane. I don't think Wayne Tinkle would have wanted those guys hop on the Centennial Trail and get down to McCarthy Athletic Center.
Oh, they did walk back to their hotel after shoot-around today.
The coaching staff.
Yes, they did.
Yes,
yeah.
I did hear Wayne Tinkle asking who wanted to walk. I noticed you're staying at the same hotel. You chose to take your rental car.
My car was here, that's
gotcha.
why.
That's the reason why.
That's the only reason why.
Californians.
I'm soft, I know it. Ajayi, the deflection, and a foul on Oregon State. And it's on DeMarco Minor.
And you gotta love, if you're a Gonzaga fan, how Ajayi hasn't allowed his struggles on the offensive end throughout the course of the season affect his approach defensively. Tremendous extra effort, not only on the glass at times, but here with the loose ball, tracking Minor down from behind, knocking it loose. That's one way you're going to endear yourself to this Kennel Club.
And Mark Few, the last couple of weeks, has been vocal about his frustrations about this team defensively. I think the message was heard by the locker room because they've come out inspired the last two games. The offense was always there, but the defensive effort from Gonzaga has been really good tonight as Michael Ratai on the follow.
Yeah,
but
I would
it just
agree.
seems they were locked in mentally, defensively.
Yeah, and every team has their ebbs and flows throughout the course of the season, and sometimes they're magnified. Gonzaga's defensive miscues were magnified because they resulted in 2 losses.
Another three for Nolan Hickman.
He is getting it going now. 4 of 5 from beyond the arc. He's made over 3 per game in West Coast Conference play.
Deflected by Nolan Hickman out of bounds. Hickman is 7 for 9 from 3 in the last couple of games.
That's pretty good.
78% from 3. I can live with that. Played high school here. His dad worked at Gonzaga back in the day. Here he is, 1983-84. Wayne Tinkle, the all-city team by the Spokane Spokesman Review. Look at the flow that Wayne had going back then. So the connections here, and then there's Lisa, who's a Hall of Famer in her own right at Montana, was a tremendous player. And then daughter Ellie, who played here at Gonzaga.
Roots definitely run deep. Ellie married to former Gonzaga player Jeremy Jones, who's currently playing in the G League. She was a pretty good player herself.
113 wins while playing for Gonzaga for Ellie. I used to joke with Wayne, call them the first family of basketball for the Northwest. With his and Lisa's success in Montana. Trace, the all-time leading scorer at Oregon State. Ellie playing here. Although Jocelyn, who's now coaching at Pepperdine, was an All-American for Tara Vanderveer at Stanford, so she escaped the Northwest.
Yeah, that's quite a successful group of basketball players in one family.
Here's Michael Ratai. And a foul on Graham Ike, his 4th. And we should mention with Wayne Tinkle, like when 12 days ago when they upset Gonzaga at Gill Coliseum, Oregon State fans stormed the court, and there's a rule, an automatic fine from the WCC for storming the court, but Wayne Tinkle got generous because the West Coast Conference was donating that money to the California Wildfire Relief Fund through the Red Cross. And they were donating that money going directly to help the fire victims down in Southern California. Well, Wayne Tinkle decided he would match the fine levied against Oregon State and personally donate to double the funds going to fire relief in Southern California.
That's, you know, a great example of, you know, some of his efforts to help, not just, you know, where he lives, but the Southern California area in this recent tragedy. But he's endeared himself to a lot of people in that Corvallis community because of his generosity with different things. And this is a rarity.
Nolan Hickman shooting free throws?
Yes, only his 5th and 6th attempt of the season.
Speaking of helping out the victims of the California wildfires, you can help out as well and donate at redcross.org/ESPN to aid the response and help people recover in Southern California. As Nate King's missing a 3. Chases down his own miss. And luckily for the Tinkles, Jocelyn Tinkle, we mentioned, a coach at Pepperdine. She doesn't live in Malibu, but close by. And luckily she did not have any damage, although they had a power outage to deal with. But luckily Jocelyn, everything was okay with her. But you see Calabasas and Malibu and all over Southern California what they've been through. And a terrific gesture from Wayne Tinkle on his part to match the amount of money and double what they were giving for what happened in Corvallis 12 days ago. Free throw missed by Maxim Loki. It is all Gonzaga tonight. Caleb Battle, after a monster first half, attacks and will shoot more free throws. And it's on Maxim Loki.
Well, both these teams are really good from the free throw line, hovering around 80% on the season, but Gonzaga has gotten there quite often this evening, and a lot of it's due to playing with force off the dribble, such as that last play from Caleb Battle.
Battle now with 20. So after going scoreless in each of the last 2 games, he has responded tonight.
You put him at the line, it's near automatic too as well.
10 for 11 from the stripe tonight, and Mark Few challenged Caleb Battle to try to get him going again. And I asked Mark, you know, what can you do? He goes, it's on him. You can only do so much. At some point, a player's got to step up and want to do it. And clearly, Caleb Battle wanted to do it tonight and came out and set an aggressive tone.
That's a great point. You know, coaches can put you in a position where they think you might have the best chance to have success, but it's on you to go attack the opportunity that's in front of you. He's made the most of it this evening after struggling for those 2 games that you mentioned.
2 shots for Nate Kings. Played 2 years at the College of Southern Idaho before sitting out last year. And he misses the front end. Michael Ajayi with 12 tonight.
With his strength, his quickness, he should live in the paint. He has done a nice job of attacking the interior, whether it's finding the middle of the zone or that time in an isolation in front of the Gonzaga bench.
Marco Minor was challenged inside, and a timeout as Minor on the deck. Jocelyn, an assistant at Pepperdine. They got to win. And here, from the outset, it's been all Gonzaga at the counter. Tremendous performance as Caleb battled a steal. Long outlet ahead for Michael Ajayi, and the former Pepperdine player was fouled, and he'll go to the free throw line with Gonzaga in the bonus. Fouls on Isaiah C. And free throws for Michael Ajayi, and the ovation because June's team.
You know, one of the issues Gonzaga you can pinpoint on the defensive end of the floor is rim protection at times. At 7 feet, a good long wingspan. He's got a chance to maybe provide a little bit of support in that area.
There's a foul underneath, and it's on Jun-Suk Yo, as Maxim Logie is still down for Oregon State. And speaking of the West Coast Conference, just a few days ago, their commissioner, Stu Jackson, as here they were jacking for position and free throws at the other end for Oregon State. But Stu Jackson weighed in about the governance and the NCAA structure and potential changes in college basketball. He came out with a strong statement. And Stu is a basketball lifer and certainly passionate about this conference and just the game of basketball, but certainly the landscape of college athletics now. What did you make of his statement over the weekend?
Well, I agree with it. You know, I think part of the thing that makes the NCAA tournament so fascinating to watch year in and year out is the chance for potential upsets or teams from leagues that maybe you don't see throughout the year making a deep run. That's how this all got started for Gonzaga. You know, this league continues to improve. You got 5 teams in the top 75 in the net, but I think one of the things that I personally, as a fan and an analyst, appreciate is when you have a team from a mid-major that has maybe lost in the conference title game, get a chance in the NCAA tournament instead of a team from a power conference that is sitting right at 500 in their league, but they've had more opportunities for quad 1, quad 2 wins, but they haven't been consistent throughout the season. To win in a league like this and advance to the NCAA tournament with an at-large, you have to be consistent throughout the year.
And if you're not aware of the statement that Stu Jackson made, he shared it again over the weekend. Assessing the numerous changes in college athletics and their effects, it appears the autonomy for conferences are seizing more decision-making power. It's vital for the basketball-focused leaders and a broader group of stakeholding decision-makers across college sports to build engaged and properly weighed representation as we look forward for basketball and Olympic sports in the wake of these discussions. And we go on to talk about the future of college athletics and the opportunities which you were getting at, Dan, but it's something that, you're right, that some of the great stories, whether it's Gonzaga, and it allowed the door for schools, for example, like Butler, to move up to a bigger league as they're in the Big East now.
You look at this league in particular this year. I mean, you still got a lot of basketball to play, but it looks as if Gonzaga and St. Mary's, based on their net and their current resume, regardless of how the tournament ends in Vegas, should both be in it. But you never know. Santa Clara's played really well at times. Oregon State's played really well at times. USF's net is higher. They just don't have that signature win that they need just yet.
There is Joe Few checking in, the son of the head coach. And the crowd enjoying seeing Joe Few on the floor. And for Oregon State, Gavin Marge checks in. You think they're going to go crazy in the shooting?
They're already hollering at him to shoot. Can't let him down, Joe.
Marco Minor wasn't letting him get a sniff. Michael Ajayi rattles in the pull-up jumper. So the big showdown this weekend in Moraga as Gonzaga goes to visit St. Mary's. How do you see that matchup Saturday night?
Well, with the transfer out of Josh Jefferson, Nate Mahaney, the graduation of Dukas, you would have thought St. Mary's would take a step back, but you know, Paulus Morauskas has been tremendous. Marshallonis still as a point guard there is really good. And then Mitchell Saxon anchoring that defense. But the thing about St. Mary's is you know what they're going to do. They're going to be great on the defensive end of the floor, and if they can get you to play their tempo, it's going to be a dogfight.
Michael Greenstein with a whistle, and they may review something here. And he was pointing at Ismaila Diane. 2:23 to go. They're going to go to the monitor. And Gonzaga up by 40. But they're just doing what Randy Bennett teams do, right? They might miss 2 or 3 guys, and guys may move on. But he's got the pieces, and he's just able to plug them in and do what they do. Off the ball, that's what they're looking at, was Diane in the key, 24 and white, with the push.
Wasn't quite able to get a full look at it. Maybe we get another chance at a longer look from a different angle. I mean, a little bit of a push. And granted, I think by the rule book, the officials need to take a look and see if it's a flagrant one. But I mean, that shouldn't be much of anything, in my opinion. If you're going to call foul, foul, move on to the next play. Outcome of this game's already been determined. I don't think it warrants a flagrant one.
By the way, St. Mary's will play Santa Clara tomorrow night.
Good job
in Santa Clara.
That's a big time game right there. Santa Clara is a difficult place to play. The Levy Center.
Bay Area rivalry.
Oregon State lost in overtime down there earlier this season.
By the way, it stays just a common foul on Diane. And it's Logie to the line for Oregon State. Tomorrow night's game on ESPNU. One more shot for Maxim Logie. He's got a young career high of 7 points. Here's the standings in the WCC. With St. Mary's 2 games up on the Zags, and they have not played Gonzaga yet this year. Then you have USF, Oregon State, who's going to fall to 6-4 with the result here. And the Zags will improve to 7-2 leading up to that matchup on Saturday night. Keep in mind, the Gales gave up the season most 75 to Washington State down in Pullman on Saturday. They won the game 80-75.
It was a game where Washington State was able to get that game, played at a little faster pace, but you know, the experience of Marshallonis at the point really was able to settle St. Mary's down, make sure they got in the offense that they wanted. Morauskas made big plays down the stretch of that game, but I mean, there's just something about St. Mary's in the way they play that nothing is ever easy. A post entry, a dribble entry, a block out, they make the game difficult for you. And that's one reason I think the St. Mary's Gonzaga matchup year in, year out, even though Gonzaga for the most part has got the better of it, is so fascinating to watch.
Jumper missed by Jun Sukyo. But Gonzaga gets it back. That's a deep 2 from Dusty Stromer, his first points tonight. Known as a three-point shooter that stepped inside the arc. And again, the lead is 40 for the Zags, and they're 2 shy of the century mark. Pull up. And the offensive rebound, Gavin Mark going high into the air. And the 7-footer. And a foul out near midcourt on Joe Few. Maybe he just wanted to make sure his name was in the box score.
A classic father-son moment. After the foul was whistled, Coach Few looks over, what are you doing?
2 shots for Josiah Lake, an 88% foul shooter. And going deeper into his bench, Mark Few, as he brings in redshirt freshman from the Bay Area, Joaquim Arauz-Moore. Josiah Lake hits both. All right, is this group feeling the pressure to get to 100?
I would think so. This Kennel Club, they've stayed all the way to the end because they want 100 points or 10 made threes, knocking on the door of both of them.
Thomas Endong in the game for Oregon State. Now the crowd wants tacos. It's for 100 points or 10 threes. They've been clamoring for tacos, and they're right on the verge of both. But they may only get one more crack at it. Thomas Endong from outside. And the rebound grabbed by Ismaila Damania.
Well, with the shot clock differential, Gonzaga's going to have to get a shot off.
And the block, Gavin Mars denies the chance for 100. As Arauz-Moore was determined to get a shot up.
He made a 3 in the game earlier this year, brought the crowd to its feet.
Oregon State will just play it out. No, they're going to go toward the hoop. And wave it off, doesn't count. And Gonzaga with a dominant 40 minutes here tonight, Dan. This is the team that maybe has refound their game.
After dropping a pair, one of them to this Oregon State team, they have refound